We have another match in the best of 7 series for the AEW World Trios Championships. We hear for the first time from our new AEW World Champion MJF and the return of a former AEW World Champion. All of this and more on Dynamite Debrief. Hey guys, how are we doing? The Wrestling Guy back here today, and welcome to another episode of Dynamite Debrief, the series where we have a look at everything that's happened on this week's episode of Dynamite, talk about the matches and the promos, all the other bits and pieces that have happened on this week's episode. We're going to have a look at all of it here on the channel today. If you guys do go on to enjoy, hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. Turn that little notification bell so you don't miss any of the content coming up on the channel. We have some big things planned for 2023, so please do keep an eye out for that one. Also, you can go and find us on our podcast, Let's Talk Wrestling, and we're also on Facebook and Instagram. All of the links are down below in the description and also in the banner as well. Right, let's have a look at everything that's happened on this week's episode of Dynamite then. So we would kick things off with the former AEW World Champion, Jon Moxley. He would come down to the ring and he would talk to the fans about his current status in the company and what he's planning to do going forward. He came out and he was claiming that no other man in the locker room had the courage to confront him. This would then lead out a former world champion as well. This would bring out Hangman Adam Page. So Hangman Adam Page is back for the first time since obviously suffering that scary concussion in his match with Jon Moxley for the title. And he would get straight into the ring and he would go straight after Jon Moxley. They wouldn't waste any time going at each other. Physical encounter between the two, resulting in referees and security having to break them up. This was an absolutely fantastic way of starting the show. The fans were getting really into this one. Chants of let them fight were ensuing straight away. Two really big main event guys in AEW. I'm hoping that eventually this will lead to a Hangman Adam Page Jon Moxley rematch. This may even be setting up for maybe Winter is Coming. We shall see. We shall see what happens on there. But a really fantastic way, an intense physical way of kicking off Dynamite, and this really got the fans going strong. This led nicely into into the opening match of the evening, which was Bryan Danielson versus one half of FTR, Dax Harwood. Two of the most, arguably two of the best in AEW in terms of in-ring talent and technical wrestling, Dax Harwood and Bryan Danielson. We all know how good Bryan Danielson is, arguably one of the best technical wrestlers in AEW. Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler and FTR up there, one of the greatest tag teams in wrestling at the moment. Absolutely brilliant on there. This was a little bit of a treat for wrestling fans here between these two, and these two amazing wrestlers. Didn't disappoint either. The American Dragon, doing all of his trademark moves. He did his trademark kicks, and he would obviously end up winning the match. Bryan Danielson would end up winning. He would put Dax Harwood in his label lock, and Dax Harwood would end up tapping to Bryan Danielson on there. So that was really good. This was a very exciting match, and I think it did absolutely everything it needed to do. The fans were absolutely loving this one as well, obviously coming off the back of that huge start by Moxley and Adam Page. The fans were absolutely loving this one. They were really invested in it. In my opinion, this is a candidate for Match of the Year for AEW. Like I said, it was hard hitting. The technical wrestling was absolutely at its peak, and I think this was in a really good place on the card as well. Having it be the opener was was a really good choice on there. So yeah, it also got a "This is awesome" chant from the crowd as well. So you can't really argue with them when that one gets going. So yeah, really good on there. And like I said, Bryan Danielson walking out with the victory here. Backstage after this match then, we would have Ricky Starks come out and cut a promo regarding the Dynamite Diamond Ring Battle Royal that's going to be taking place next week. He came and said that he was entering the match because he wanted to take absolutely everything away from MJF. First his ring, and then his AEW World Championship at Winter is Coming. We all know it's going to be MJF and Ricky Starks at Winter is Coming for the AEW World title after Ricky Starks won the Full Gear Eliminator tournament. Really good on there. Really like the Dynamite Diamond Ring Battle Royal. We'll be covering that in next week's episode of Dynamite Debrief, so do have a look out for that one. Really, really good. Let's see what happens on there. We would then have our next match of the evening. It was a TNT Championship match between Samoa Joe and AR Fox. So for the first time since winning the TNT title at Full Gear, we would see Samoa Joe. And he would be defending against the up-and-coming AR Fox. Later on in the at the end of the match, we would hear from Excalibur that AR Fox was now officially signed with AEW as well. I think he's really, really good. It's a nice pickup there for AEW. He's a really interesting talent, and I think he could really be pushed up and elevated in the company. So, yeah, really, really good. Samoa Joe dominated a lot of this match. The AR Fox really struggled to kind of really get into this one. And ultimately, Samoa Joe would hit the Muscle Buster and get the 1-2-3, retaining his title against AR Fox. But it was a cracking performance by AR Fox. I think kind of a couple more matches and he'll really start finding his feet. After the match, we would see Wardlow come out and he would interrupt and cut a promo. And he would basically suggest to the AEW fans that his feud with Samoa Joe is not over. This has got to be setting up for a Wardlow Samoa Joe match in the future for the titles. The rumour is suggesting that the two of them are going to end up having a match which results in Wardlow gaining both the belts. So we'll see how they do that in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, some really good stuff on there. It would then cut to backstage where we see Moxley and Adam Page continue their backstage brawl with security again trying to intervene. Really, really good on there. Really like all of that on there. Just helping to heat up that rivalry again, just kind of get a bit of stoking the fire going again. We would then see Renee Paquette. She was sat down with the Jericho Appreciation Society and the Blackpool Combat Club, and they would announce that it's going to be a tag match between Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta. They'd be taking on Daniel Garcia and Jake Hager. Really looking forward to that match. That's going to be one hell of a tag match. That's going to be absolutely awesome. Wheeler Yuta would then also announce that he's challenging Daniel Garcia for the Ring of Honor Pure Championship at Final Battle, which is the Ring of Honor pay-per-view. That's going to be one hell of a match. I'm really, really excited for that one. So yeah, we'll have to keep an eye out for that one. What a start to Dynamite though. This week has been absolutely cracking so far. And it gets better because coming up next, we hear from the AEW World Champion, MJF. 1 week after winning his title. Last week on Dynamite, we would see William Regal come down to the ring and address the fans, but he wouldn't really give a lot of answers to why they did what they did at Full Gear. MJF would cut another absolutely fantastic promo. I feel like I say this on every single episode. I think MJF is arguably one of the best in-ring performers, and he's also one of the best on the mic in not just AEW, but in wrestling. He knows what to do with a microphone. The champion reminded fans of the bidding war of 2024 and promised to hold the title until then, while making the reigns of other top villains look short in comparison. Then in a shocking moment, he flattened William Regal with his diamond ring. The commentary team sold the gravity of the moment, and Danielson rushed to the ring to check on his mentor. This is just suggesting that MJF and William Regal aren't together after all. This was really well done. I think that this is setting up for Bryan Danielson MJF. I'm not sure. One hell of a match that's going to be though. If the American Dragon ends up facing MJF for the title, that's going to be really, really good. And I think it'd be a good way of kind of ending the year for Bryan Danielson as well, if he can end up getting an AEW World Title match against MJF. William Regal, Bryan Danielson, MJF, all three of them were absolutely fantastic, and they all did absolutely everything. Storytelling in AEW is getting a lot better at the moment, and I think wrestling fans are starting to kind of pick up on that. Obviously people are starting to get more invested in AEW. There's people like MJF are bringing fans in because it's just absolutely sublime storytelling at the moment. Really big thumbs up there from the wrestling guy. We would then have our next match of the evening. It would be Ari Daivari going up against Ricky Starks. Now, we would see obviously Ricky Starks early on in the night when he addresses that he's going to be entering the Diamond Ring Battle Royal next week on Dynamite, but we would also see him in a match here tonight against Ari Daivari. This match was okay. It didn't really do a lot. It kind of was just giving Ricky Starks that momentum he needs going into his next couple of matches, because he's got some big matches coming up. He's got the Battle Royal, and then in a couple of weeks he has got his match with MJF. This is just helping to build Ricky Starks up to look like a decent challenger for MJF in a couple of weeks' time. This was really good. After the match, we would see Ethan Page saying that he was also entering the Dynamite Diamond Ring Battle Royal next week, and that he was going to go after Ricky Starks. He would talk about a couple of other things, but this was ultimately leading towards Ethan Page being kind of a great bad guy. Thinking of every villain in. If you think of a villain in a horror film, this is what it was kind of like. It was very much what Ethan Page wanted to do on there. Up next, we would have Willow Nightingale versus Anna Jay. The women's division at the moment in AEW, I think, is really strong. They're in a really good position at the moment. These two put on an okay match. Willow Nightingale, I know the fans are really behind her at the moment. They're really backing her. And Anna Jay, absolutely brilliant. I absolutely love Anna Jay. I think she's really good. I think it's a great move putting her with the Jericho Appreciation Society. I'm not a huge fan of the Jericho Appreciation Society, but it does what it needs to do on here. This, I think, is setting up for maybe Willow Nightingale versus either Jamie Hayter or Jade Cargill for the TBS title, but we'll come on to that next, because up next we had the TBS champion Jade Cargill come down to the ring alongside her baddies Red Velvet and Layla Gray. She cut a horrendous promo. She is not good on the microphone. I do not like Jade Cargill, and this was just, what on earth was this? If you guys like it, if you guys agree, please hit that thumbs up button, because we need some love for this, because this was really bad. None of it was productive. It made Jade Cargill look like a desperate champion, and this just didn't do anything good for her at all. This was arguably, I think, the worst promo in Dynamite history. If I'm honest, I'm going to go out there and say that this is the worst promo. Jade Cargill, I don't think that she should be the champion. She's not very good on the mic, and yeah, this was not good on there at all. Coming up next, then we had the Best of 7 series match 3 between the Elite and Death Triangle. So for the third show in the row, the Elite and Death Triangle would go 1-on-1 in their Best of 7 series. A desperate Elite would attack them from the opening bell, setting a frantic pace for the rest of the match. Really, really good spots in this match, though, and it would result in the Elite picking up the victory over Death Triangle, making it 2-1 in this series. The Elite attacking Death Triangle on the stage was a really good spot. Penta teased using the Timekeeper's Hammer. I still think that this is setting up for a Death Triangle heel turn. Maybe in the next couple of weeks we'll see a bit more of that unfold. Phoenix would prevent him from doing so, and Omega would flatten them with the V-trigger as well. Some good spots in the match from Pac as well. He was using the protective face mask to headbutt Kenny Omega, and he would deliver a huge avalanche Falcon Arrow for a 2 count as well. I would say, though, out of the 3 matches they've had so far, this was probably the weakest. But I'd say out of the 3, it had I think it had the best storytelling and narrative. It showed that Elite were kind of desperate to not let Death Triangle win, which is why we had that attack before the match and everything else on there. It kind of proved that these guys kind of just were desperate to make it 2-1 in this series. They didn't want to be 3 down. However, the storytelling was fantastic. I love the stuff they're doing with Death Triangle, with the Warhammer. Pac trying to encourage them to use it, Rey Fenix reluctant to use it, and Penta wanting to kind of side with Pac and use the hammer as well. But it's now 2-on-1 in this series as well, so we'll see what unfolds in the coming weeks. But I'm really enjoying this best of 7 series. I really, really hope that they do more of these with other titles in the future, because it's a really, really cool idea on there. That is this week's episode of Dynamite gone through for you guys. What a cracking episode it was. I would thoroughly recommend going and checking out this week's episode of Dynamite. It was really, really good. Some fantastic spots on there, and it's leading us on nicely into the next couple of weeks as well. Really excited to see if anything happens between Hangman Adam Page and Jon Moxley. Can't wait for the Dynamite Diamond Ring that Battle Royal next week on Dynamite as well. And what does this all mean with Death Triangle and the Elite as well? So many good stories that we're going to be covering on the channel in the coming weeks. So keep an eye out for that one. Hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you've enjoyed, and I shall see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.